Training camp starts next week, but before we get there, I knew we had to get to this story. The New York Jets attempted to hire Arthur Smith with Nathaniel Hackett. Eh, boy. What time is it? Boy Green Daily starts now.
I'm going to lose my gosh darn bananas. Boy Green Daily starts now. Zoinks!
I made it clear that my intention was to play, and my intention was to play for the New York Jets.
You're fucking wrong!
Let's roll, baby, and shout out every single time to Gator McCluskey for making that brand new intro here for Boy Green Daily. I'm Paul Eston Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green, the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. We're streaming live on my Heavy on Jets Facebook page. Shout out to Heavy for supporting the show. YouTube.com/BoyGreen25 and Twitter @BoyGreen25. You love him. You hate him. You love to hate him. You hate to love him. Let's bring him in. Hop on Pop. My father, the Esden Zone, graces us with his presence. What's up, Pop?
Not much. Good morning, Boy Green.
All right, you like that new intro? Yeah, you got a rock and roll theme, a little Zariah Luna in there.
Yeah, I think the Zariah Luna clip was clipped a little bit, but
yeah,
I love it. It's weird to see you in 4 different cartoon fashions.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, very nice, very nice. Wow. Shout out to the person that has Esden Zone's deranged syndrome.
Yeah,
for doing a good job.
Yeah, there he is, one of the best in the business. Gator McCluskey. Thank you to Gator for putting that together. We appreciate you. And before we get started, a couple of things right off the top rope that we have to get to. Shout out to all the members of the Boy Green Coffee Club. That is my YouTube membership group. You guys have done a spectacular job, and we've had unbelievable numbers this month. We have 85 members, card-carrying members of the Boy Green Coffee Club, and because of that, we've unlocked all kinds of new emojis that you guys can use in the chat right now, and I wanted to debut several brand new ones that just popped in since the last time we did a program yesterday. Here's one. Woody has joined our emoji group. You can use a Woody emoji. Feel free to do so from Boy Green Meets Woody every Tuesday, Thursday at 3 o'clock. Also, Gator's version of Boy Green. Yeah, go ahead.
Did Woody pay somebody to make him look like that?
That's a good question. There does seem to be some musculature happening here and things of that nature. I will allow him to plead the fifth or answer that question at a different time, which, by the way, you'll see him 2 months from yesterday, Jets Patriots. Okay.
I can't wait to see my son from another month. I don't know how that goes. But anyways, I can't wait to see him. But yes, I couldn't let that scroll by. But
no. That's a good
he's
call.
Looking good. Maybe he's been buffing up. I don't know.
It could be. Here's one that Gator made for the Boy Green Meets Woody show. That is another edition of Boy Green. And I know you're going to be a fan of this one, Pop. The Hop on Pop logo is its own thing. There you go. Hop on Pop is now an emoji people can use in the comment section for any future video if you're a member of the Boy Green Coffee Club. The Hop on Pop emoji. What do you think, Pop?
Looks sweet. Another fine job done by Gator. Nice job.
We'll get that. Shout out to Joe Branham of Ram Showcase who put this together. More on this in just a moment. Also, Chutzpah. Make sure you get it, the flames and everything. And shout out to Snowball, our guy Snowball, who made all these possible. So shout out to Snowball as well. We appreciate you. And that's great. But before we go any further, I mentioned that Hop on Pop logo. Guys, there is a link in the YouTube description, and it is in every Boy Green Daily show, a link to our merch shop. And we have debuted some new merch, and it is available right now in the Boy Green merch shop. I'm showing you right now on the screen. Hop on Pop hats, Hop on Pop mugs, Hop on Pop cooking aprons? Sure. Hop on Pop female shirts, male shirts, and Hop on Pop coffee mugs, both in the ceramic and camping mug editions. All of that currently in the Boy Green official merch shop, which is down in the link down below. So feel free to get your freaky on and get some hop on pop action, which is all down there. So it looks great.
That looks great. Excited to get some of that merch and to obviously wear it on September 19th.
Ooh, there you go. Nice. I appreciate it. So spectacular. So guys, check out the merch shop there, and we'll give you some more of those deets in a little bit. But let's get to the topic of conversation that the Jets tried to hire Arthur Smith. And before we even play the clip, I will be honest, I knew this information several months ago, but and I spoke with two team insiders that confirmed the Jets' interest and aggressive pursuits of Arthur Smith. But I was sworn to secrecy. And then when Diana Rossini talked about it, now we can finally talk about it. And we're going to play the video clip here. Diana Rossini has a brand new podcast with a longtime backup NFL quarterback Chase Daniel, played in the league for 14 years. And they debuted their first episode, which is Scoop City. And they talked about the Jets behind the scenes of trying to get Arthur Smith. And just so everyone knows, this would be not replacing Nathaniel Hackett in terms of him losing his job and Arthur Smith gaining a job. Arthur Smith would have also entered the room. Without further ado, let's play the footage. Again, this is from Scoop City, Diana Rossini's brand new podcast for The Athletic, talking about the Jets pursuing Arthur Smith this offseason. Roll the footage.
There's a level of comfort there. That's why Nathaniel Hackett is there. They have a really strong relationship. Think back to when Aaron Rodgers would stand in front of the podium and talk about Nathaniel Hackett. It was like he was talking about his brother. There's so much loyalty and love there. And obviously an understanding, because at the end of the day, Nathaniel Hackett's calling the plays, but Aaron Rodgers has very, very strong influence. But I think it was quite apparent that there weren't a lot of answers once Aaron Rodgers went down on offense. They really struggled, specifically in the red zone last year. And there's a lot of reasons, but Nathaniel Hackett appears to have lost his fastball. So the Jets went out this offseason and just started to poke around, make some phone calls. Arthur Smith, the current Pittsburgh Steelers offensive coordinator, was one of those coaches that the Jets were talking to about possibly bringing in to be part of the play calling process here with Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers was informed of it. He was aware of it. And in the end, he wound up going to Pittsburgh. But my question for you, do you think that Arthur Smith becoming a play caller for the New York Jets with Aaron Rodgers is an immediate upgrade than Nathaniel Hackett?
No, I don't. But that's just crazy to me that, you pretty much put it as like, if Arthur Smith would have said yes, he would have got the job. But I don't think it's an immediate upgrade because Nathaniel Hackett will do, let's be real. Aaron Rodgers is the offensive coordinator there. No offense to Nathaniel Hackett, right?
Yeah,
Hackett's going to be on the same page. Yeah. He knows that. But when you get Arthur Smith there, it's an outside guy. Him and Rodgers don't have a really tight relationship like Nathaniel Hackett. There's a lot of run game. Look, if the Jets are going to win this year, it's going to be on Aaron Rodgers' right arm. Let's be real about that. I just don't know if the pass game concepts that Arthur Smith brings would be like Nathaniel Hackett. So I get why they ended up making that move, but it's just an interesting nugget you just dropped.
Yeah, I think just the fact that they were exploring, I give the Jets a lot of credit for going, okay, yes, this is what Aaron wants, but maybe this isn't best. Maybe we can add another piece to this offense with another brain, essentially, from somebody who understands a run game and maybe could improve that area, because that's just really not as great as it could be, especially with that roster.
And Arthur Smith rejected those advances by the Jets and ended up taking the job as the offensive coordinator of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And Johnny Boy, welcome back to the chat, and hopefully you and your family are doing great. It's great to see you back in the chat, buddy. But throwing it back to you, Pop, here, what do you make of hearing that the Jets were attempting to hire Arthur Smith as part of the room?
Yeah, so for those loyal listeners that don't automatically tune out when I'm coming on the show. And by the way, for the ones that left, we really miss you. Not. Anyways, if you listen to some of the things I've said in the past, this is exactly what I said the Jets needed to do. And I'm not talking about Arthur Smith. We'll get to him in a minute. It's exactly what I said they needed to do. They needed to bring in somebody to bolster the coaching of the New York Football Jets. I will tell you, merge two things there, and specifically for the offense. But if the Jets are a three-legged stool of football talent, team chemistry, and coaching, the weakest leg by a landslide is coaching. And so bringing in somebody, the conceptually, slam dunk to do this, right? Arthur Smith, not who I would have recommended they go after, but having somebody there with experience, nuances as a head coaching and for the offense, I think would have been a huge win for the Jets and helped firm up one of the weaker legs of the team.
Yeah, my problem with it was from people that are in the know and talking to them. Nathaniel Hackett would have remained on the team, would have remained in the room. And he might have even kept the OC title for all we know, similar to Green Bay, where he was the OC, but Matt LaFleur was calling the plays. So Arthur Smith was going to come in and, from what I understand, would have been the primary play caller for the New York Jets, or at a minimum, the head of the snake of a collaboration in terms of that. And that, to me, scares me a little bit because, things can get awkward when you get replaced at your job and you're still there. That's one of my concerns. And then you can have your own concerns about Arthur Smith and the lack of production that was there in Atlanta, or his long tenure in Tennessee in a variety of roles that he filled. That's part of it that would have been incredibly awkward and maybe even detonative in a way that could have turned really sour if things went wrong. And let's say Arthur Smith's calling plays, things aren't going well through a handful of games. Nathaniel Hackett's in the back room saying, I could do a better job. And then I just feel like that could potentially get explosive.
Yeah, no, actually, it's exactly what I recommended. And this isn't some weird, right? You call it whatever you want to call it. You could call it a special assistant to the general manager. You can call him a special assistant to the head coach. You could call him the assistant head coach. He's not there to replace Hackett. He's advised on the bigger offensive scheme. And what I would liken it to, day to day in the game, he would have little but an observation role, but he would have like those 3 or 4 lifelines, like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, when he hears something come across the wire, like, let's pump the brakes on that. So, but yeah, it wouldn't be, developing the game plan, in the team meetings, not really every play during the game having input. No, that would still be, if you're going to keep Nathaniel Hackett, he's still the offensive coordinator, but having someone there with a breadth of experience to back him up and to back up Saleh is what I was seeing.
By the way, I don't blame Arthur Smith for telling the Jets to pack it, because it's weird, man. It's weird to be in there for all the reasons I said. And plus, the Jets, speaking of explosive, if things go wrong for the Jets, everyone's getting fired. Everyone's dead. So his 1-year trip, let's move up the family to the New Jersey, New York area. Oh, geez, we've all been fired because it all collapsed like a used lawn chair. So for that reason, I can understand why that wasn't very attractive. And thus, it was a hard job for the Jets to fill, to your point, that Arthur Smith was not the only person that the Jets looked at for this role to add to the room, to add some help for Nathaniel Hackett. But I'm not surprised they weren't able to fill it, because it's an awkward thing to try to fill, because you need a motivated individual who sees that, oh boy, if this goes south, everyone's getting fired, and made it almost impossible to fill that job. So that I'm not. And then obviously he got a better gig being the actual OC, where he's actually the play caller for another organization, and getting that whack the pinata after being fired by the Atlanta Falcons, and now being the straight up OC for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's not a quasi OC or whatever role again that he would have had. But feel free to comment on. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So, and I don't think that's the right person for the role. The person that's the person in the role I would think of is more of a Gandalf, if you will, not somebody that's using this as a stepping stone to go back to being a head coach. This is somebody Bill Parcells has done it in the past, and I'm not recommending Bill Parcells, but Bill Parcells has done it in the past, this special advisor role. And so that is the type of person, not this intermittent. But if we want to segue over to Arthur Smith specifically.
Yes, that's where I wanted to go. Yes.
Yeah. So he's an interesting character, right? His claim to fame. So what's his claim to fame? Let me just ask you before I tell you.
Okay.
What's his claim to fame?
Well, I would say certainly his commitment to the run game and his long history in Tennessee. He served like 1,000 roles. He was like a tight end coach, an offensive coordinator, this, that. He filled like almost every position that exists for the Tennessee Titans over like a 7-8 year period. And then obviously he got the whack of the pinata with the head coaching job, obviously, with the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah. So, yeah, what he's really, what he's well known for was for having the best running back in the league for a couple of years, right? And a game manager at quarterback, right? That's what he was known for. They were nobody could stop Henry back then. Nobody could stop him, right? If you go back and look, and I didn't specifically look at it, right? Yeah, Travis Henry, he was getting like 25 touchdowns, 1,500 yards. It's pretty easy to be that guy's offensive coordinator, right? So, but if you look at his entire history, I would say the most notable thing about Arthur Smith is he has 9 brothers and sisters. Apparently his dad didn't have any other hobbies. He had 9 brothers and sisters. And by the way, his other thing his dad was known for, he was the founder of FedEx. Oh. That's a good background. That's a good safety net. I'm a dad. Yeah. I want to go be a rock star. Or I want to go chase kangaroos in Australia. Well, son, I'm not sure how sustainable that. Oh, never mind. It doesn't matter. We have billions of dollars to roll around in. So he, normally people become coaches from 2 ways. They're experienced players, or they have a mind like that whack job capri pant wearing guy in Miami, right? They got this like weird, football savant kind of thing. Arthur Smith's really neither of those. His collegiate career, he played like 2 games. He was redshirted. He was injured. He limped around. He might have started 1 or 2 games. Unimpressive. And he started his coaching career on the defense. He was an offensive lineman whenever they let him on the field, which is not often. And he started off as a defensive coach. So his track record, not that phenomenal. That's not the person that you needed. He was not a whiz-bang guy. He had one of the best players, if not the best player in the NFL when he was offensive coordinator, and he reaped the benefit of that. So he wouldn't be the person I would have gone after by a long shot. Just, availability doesn't make a better selection, right? Well, he's not doing anything. Let's see if he's available.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure, but I did have somebody that is actually prototypical. I didn't do a lot of searching and stuff like this. Okay. And I may have mentioned it before, but this person is somebody that really, I think, could have filled the role with what the mentality I have, that kind of mentor for Robert Saleh and Hackett.
Before you reveal it, I just want to say, hey, Snowball did this in the middle of the show. He even updated it so people in dark mode will be able to use this better. So, wow, live on the show, Snowball is doing God's work, sending it in. So shout out to Snowball, who never sleeps. And I don't know if he's still in Italy right now. He was supposed to be on vacation, but his commitment to Boy Green Daily is spectacular. So you guys can now use this emoji, which has just been updated, and more to come. I see Snowball just sent me something else. So, no, great suspense building. Now, your guy was who?
I'm going to give you somebody that was directly responsible for one of the greatest dynasties in the NFL.
Wow. Okay.
A mentor of Hall of Famers, right? A 3-time NFL head coach with success.
Wow. 3-time?
Over 100 wins in the NFL, which is not a very long list.
Sure.
And an offensive genius, some would say. And so, and he currently is not working. And again, it's just for this role, right? Just the mentorship and the offensive room, the overall for the team. And it's Norv Turner.
Norv Turner. What is Norv Turner doing right now? Let me see. Look up Norv Turner.
He's not doing anything right now. He may be doing some spots on broadcasting. And again, it's not.
Yeah, a whole lot of nothing right now.
Yeah, it's not any link to the Cowboys. He was a 3-time head coach. He did turn around the Washington Redskins, and you can say that because I'm not going to say that other name, but because that was when he was a coach, that's what they were, right? And that's a difficult franchise to turn around, right? He brought him to the playoffs. He had some success. He was a head coach of the Raiders, which did not go as well, and then the Chargers.
Yes,
He had some success there. So
absolutely.
13 in 3 years. So
hey, quick question.
Yeah.
Did you know what his last job was in the NFL? His last role?
Yes, I do. He was the special assistant to
The head coach.
To the head coach. Yeah. No,
Yeah,
absolutely.
there you go. Interesting. Okay. And
Yeah.
I've been around. I mean, his coaching career spans, and this goes back to college, 1975 to 2019. That was his last gig. It was a few years ago, obviously, with the Carolina Panthers. He was your offensive coordinator, and then for 2 years, in the second year, he got the additional title of special assistant to the head coach. I mean, this is a lot of experience, NFL experience, collegiate experience. He's worked a lot individually with different players, wide receivers, quarterbacks. Wow, this is a robust resume. Robust,
right? And this would be, let's hope Aaron Rodgers plays for a few more years. But if he didn't, I would keep Norv Turner. Well, I would assume when Rodgers, it's going to happen at the same time. You see it all right when Rodgers goes, this year, the Jets go to the playoffs. They go to the AFC Championship game. Don't quite make the Super Bowl this year. Rodgers like, this year was tougher than I thought coming off the injury, and I'm going to retire. So he's the word retire. It's like still hanging in the air. The sound waves retire, and then there's people with boxes that Hackett's at the what's that? Hey, what do you got? What you're? Hey, why are you taking my stuff? Hey, whoop! They're going to escort him to the curb like the Scrooged.
Yeah.
5 minutes. He's leaving early today. Yeah. So that's what I expect to see. With Aaron Rodgers. That's no joke, right? Yes, I'd like to appreciate the opportunity I had with the New York Jets. I'm going to retire. Anyways, that was funny enough to do it again. But but Norv Turner, a couple-year deal. And, it's less of the grind of the head coach. I think he could coax him out of retirement. I think he'd bring a lot to the table. And then whether it's our bright prospect from Florida State or somebody else, the mentorship that he could help. And again, not in the offense. It's not a stepping stone for him, right? It's an opportunity for him to use his knowledge. I think it'd be an attractive role for someone like Norv Turner and help the Jets immensely.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. There was a lot of, you could say, chutzpah, perhaps, for a guy like Norv Turner. Again, he is, what's the age now? I know he's in his 70s.
72.
72, there you go. 72, just turned 72 in May. So it would be a way for him to get back in the NFL. I know his son is coaching around somewhere here in the NFL as well. It would be interesting. I would love to have, that's the right kind of guy in my mind that no longer has an ego anymore. The thing that drives him, and you sometimes see it with older players in the league too, it's no longer about the all pros and the Pro Bowls and this. It's about helping the next generation. Clearly here with a guy like Norv Turner, it would just be helping or, helping. That's just the easiest way to say it with what the Jets had going on. The other one that the Jets tried to get, it's funny that you say this, it was actually a couple years ago, Gary Kubiak. Well, obviously has a direct tie to Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh's entry point into the NFL was back in the Houston Texans Matt Schaub days. That was 20 years ago, basically. So that's another guy that they investigated, but for whatever reason, he didn't want to come out of retirement for that, kind of in a similar situation of being an overseer of sorts. Obviously, another one, God rest his soul, Greg Knapp, who has been an offensive wizard forever. He was hired by the Jets and unfortunately was tragically killed in his first offseason with the team in a cycling accident. He was on a bicycle and a distracted driver struck him with a car. So that was another guy that they tried to get. So they have attempted, but for whatever reason, there have been things that have happened that have taken that away. But I think that is an underrated thing of the impact a napper could have had, or go to any of some of these guys. And like I said, as far as now with report day for the rest of the team. We had rookies report 2 days ago. The veterans and the rest of the squad reports in 3 days, and the first practice is in 4 days. So we're probably reached the end of the line here, unfortunately, as it pertains to that conversation. So they're going to have to rock with what they have. But I wonder, I'm curious how Hackett's handling it, because or especially after last year, and then the Broncos year was a year before, hearing that the Jets seriously explored adding to the room. He said that in all his media opportunities so far. What else is he going to say? He said he was in the room for all of those conversations, and they were very transparent with him of what they were trying to do. So I'll be curious how he responds after a lot of adversity, to say the least.
Yeah, so it's interesting. By the way, I have to make a comment before I respond to that. I just pulled up YouTube on my other device here.
Sure.
And I've got to say, you picked a very unusual picture to use for Arthur Smith. He looks like a cheap version of Ron Jeremy with that stash.
Yeah,
so,
I thought that was a good pick. That was that's a good photo. That might have been the week of the Jets-Falcons game a couple of years ago, and he had these weird mutton chops. He had all these weird facial hairs that week. So as I was clipping out videos, they were going viral, not for whatever he was saying, but for the weird look of Arthur Smith. So
as we all walk around, right? You walk around, and if you were in a movie, you'd have this theme music behind you, right?
Hey, someone's asking who's Ron Jeremy. Would you suggest Googling that? Or
yeah, Google that on somebody else's phone.
Heyo.
And I had like 5 other follow-on jokes to that, but I am not.
That must just be, there's a generation gap here between some of our listeners, I assume.
I think Jared knows.
Oh, you think he's playing?
Yeah. Anyways, response. Yeah, I just think the Jets picked the wrong people to go after, the wrong mindset for what they needed to do. Because you're right. It's completely different. You have a Norv Turner, or not to harp on him, or somebody like him. Or you bring in somebody. Now it is weird, right? And Arthur Smith's not the person, but now it's it makes it weird when you have somebody that is literally looking for another job, right? And I see all of that. Anyways, I should not have said that. But anyways, I would tell you this. This is how Hackett feels. Okay. He either feels one of 2 different ways.
Okay.
One, he goes home at night, and his wife, his husband, whoever it is, he goes, thank God they're running this back, because after this fiasco, I'm going to be flipping pancakes at the IHOP, right? And so he's riding it out, happy to have a job. That's number one. Or number 2, he's deluded enough to think that if the Jets have success this year, and then after the knock on the door, after they have success, that's going to launch him, right?
Yeah.
Here's my next head coaching opportunity.
Yeah.
So no one is going to, right? If they're successful this year, it's going to be with Aaron Rodgers dragging Hackett's dead body in this weird 3-legged race.
So you think it's Adam Gase, Peyton Manning? Adam Gase is the offensive coordinator for Peyton Manning, and we're like, oh, whoa.
Look at that guy. Now, maybe somebody would hire him, right? Yeah. They forget what Sean Payton said. By the way, Sean Payton looks smarter every day. They forget what he said, but right. So he probably does live in the land of delusion, right? But, I would say if you have Arthur Smith comes in, and a regular human being would be kind of offended by that. Mm-hmm. And if Norv Turner comes in, you're like that. You might be excited about that. Now, here's an opportunity. This guy knows stuff. He's had success with one of the better accuracy quarterbacks of all time in the NFL, teaching him things, making him better. So,
yeah, that could be, again, if you get the right guy, that can be less threatening, because it's not, again, we talk about this on the radio show. So the Knicks have Tom Thibodeau, former Celtic assistant, and we've joked on the radio that there's the Villanova boys on the roster. Ooh, they should bring Jay Wright in as an assistant. But Jay Wright would be incredibly threatening to Tom Thibodeau, because he'd be like, what that guy could take my job, which could be this. If you're talking about a Norv Turner or Gary Kubiak or any of these kind of guys, again, they're in the pasture. They ain't taking anything from you, but you also have to have the right mentality to benefit from a situation. If you're just pissy about something, you won't, and you choose not to be in an open mindset, it's going to be very difficult to get the most juice out of that orange potentially with that conversation. So maybe Nathaniel Hackett will be motivated. All the people that are hating on him, well, rightfully so, with some of the numbers and production or lack thereof that has happened. But maybe it'll be the motivating thing that say, guys, I will show you. I was offensive coordinator for the Packers for 3 years. 2 of those years, Aaron Rodgers won MVP. Maybe I know what I'm doing. So hopefully he'll have some of that going on. We can only hope for the love of everything that is holy. 2 things here. Snowball just made another emoji. He's a freak. Here you go. The New York Jets new/old logo. Shout out to him. We've now reached the emoji overload. We cannot create any more emojis until we get 15 more members on the channel. So the presses are stopped for the time being. But shout out here to Snowball, who took a dip into the chat. He apparently is in Italy right now, but it's lunchtime here. And while the wife prepares, I get to work on boy green emojis. Good Lord have mercy. Let's give a big round of applause to our guy Snowball. Again, God bless doing God's work. We appreciate you, Snowball. And what else would you rather be doing in a foreign country like Italy with all kinds of beautiful landscape and food and everything than making emojis for a New York Jets content creator's YouTube channel? Obviously.
Yeah. So, makes a lot of sense. Checks out. And by the way, if he's waiting on his wife to get ready, I don't know his wife.
Sure.
But I hope he brought a Snickers bar.
Oh, so I guess he has more time to make more of these.
He's not going anywhere for a while.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, by the way, we've got a new membership. Now we only need 14 more, apparently. We're at 86 members after this. Jared B for jumping on the train. Folks, you can either gift memberships like Jared B just did, or you can punch in your own ticket to the dance. So feel free to do that if you would like. All right, and Rob V, you were just gifted a membership by Jared B. All right, a lot of rhyming going on there.
A lot of bees flying around.
Yeah, that's for sure. Thank you, Jared B, for the membership. Appreciate you, pal.
So I'm not sure. There are different times a year. You have that, the sounds of the NFL.
Yeah.
Right. Is the draft one, and then is it the winds of autumn? Is that what it is?
The autumn wind.
The autumn wind.
But I mean, I guess you could say it in reverse. It sounds fancier. The winds of autumn.
Right.
You know.
The autumn wind, that's phenomenal. Sure. Even the intros of Fox and CBS.
Oh, sure, shows, I love those. Yeah,
that'll get your blood pumping. So I did not see. Did our boy Malachi? Did he show up with a belt? If he had showed up to the report as a rookie, wearing his yak belt.
Yes, I see what you're saying. Well, he did sign, so thankfully he was one of only, I think it was 8 rookies in the NFL who had not signed yet. And again, with the new CBA and the rookie wage go, it's like, well, there's no holdouts really anymore because there's not a lot of negotiating happening. But he just signed the day before report day, so that was the 17th. So the Jets rookie class is now fully signed.
Yeah, I mean that is a odd. I wonder what the issue. It'd be interesting to know what's behind that because literally, even it was getting out of control, and and I'm not for whatever you call it. At some point, the owners really need to get together with the union and like whether it's the curbing these out of rate. They eventually the quarterback's going to be 95% of the salary cap unless they're like, hey, we got to pump the brakes on this. But really, when it was the first round pick, when you sign the Ryan Leaf, when you sign Marcus Russell, that's exactly where I was headed next. And then you're trashing yourself. The biggest debate back in the day was Ryan Leaf or Peyton Manning, which was the best person to sign, and it was it was crazy that, and then obviously how it turned out, but really structuring these things, making it easy. Kind of keeping things under control because really, you got that 10-year vet who's playing on the veteran minimum. Really, more equitable distribution is much better. And so, why did he wait to sign? Be interesting to know.
Yeah, it would be, especially, and then we had even some big names this past week. Also on that list was Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze, the two of the top 9 picks in the 2024 NFL Draft, both playing for the Chicago Bears. Which, by the way, their Hard Knocks is right around the corner as well. That'll be fascinating to see. Both of them just signed this week as well. So. And that's half of the Bears draft class. They only had 4 picks in the 2024 NFL draft. And shout out to Rob V here. He said, I didn't even know why my membership ended in the first place. So boom, Rob V, you're back, baby. And this is a 1-month trial for free. And then you'll get an email about making sure you lock it up for the future. So there you go, Rob. Great to have you here on the channel. Absolutely. Fantastic. All right. More from Snowball here. It says, Boy Green, I'm a half-horse town in the middle of nowhere using my phone as a hotspot, just enjoying nothingness. Wow. Okay. There's a beauty in those kind of things. Pop, have you traveled? Well, I know you have of not Italy trips and things of that nature, I suppose, but have you done any foreign travel for pleasure?
Yeah, I went quite a few places with a very, very bad view through a periscope. But we haven't gone anywhere for pleasure. I did go about a decade ago to the coast of Spain for work.
Oh, right, that's true. Yeah,
and so that was interesting. But I'll tell you, I did go to when I was in the Navy. We went to London and Scotland and wherever. But I don't get it. So we went to Buckingham Palace and we watched like these throngs of like it was like it was like the duck boat parade for the Celtics. Like all these people are pressing up to watch the changing of the guard. And I'm watching and I'm like, if this was a short or a reel or whatever we call those things,
sure,
I would watch this for about 2 seconds. And so I traveled, I pushed through the crowd. And you look at these people like, oh my God, look at that. And I'm like, the most interesting thing I saw was a horse had taken a dump in the street and a pigeon was eating it. So yeah, some of that stuff amazes people. Now the view in Spain was awesome, but when we went to, some of the other things and things that astound people, not that impressed.
Okay, fair enough. I appreciate it. By the way, I see Terrence Hill. You're saying BJ had a question for you yesterday. I tried to call and never got through. Well, the call-on lines are now open. It is the pinned comment on YouTube. So, Terrence, if you'd like to pop the cherry and call in for the first time, feel free to do so, Terrence. We've appreciated all your activeness and commentary in the chat. That is available for all of you. Again, youtube.com/boygreen25. It is the pinned comment. But as we await callers, we need to give a special happy birthday to a member of the Jets organization. Happy birthday, Joe Douglas, today, the architect of this New York Jets roster. I got a notification from my heavy overlords because they do birthday graphics for the Facebook page. They let me know. They said, hey, Joe Douglas' birthday today. So there you go. Huh? Birthday celebration.
Let's hope that Nathaniel Hackett catches the same fever that Joe Douglas did, because last year Joe Douglas did not do a phenomenal job in his role, and I think he recognized that. And this offseason had a phenomenal offseason free agency draft. So we can only hope that Nathaniel Hackett flips his hat around, goes over the top with a little thing like that. And really flips the page and kicks into overdrive. That's my hope, right? Because Joe Douglas last year, not a banner year. But let's hope Hackett has a 5th gear or 4th gear or whatever it is. Kicks it.
Speaking of Joe Douglas's birthday, real quick, is there something you think he didn't accomplish that he should have this offseason? Not last offseason, this one.
Yeah, minor criticism, right?
Okay.
I think before they signed him, they should have had
made that trade.
Done something a little bit more to kind of make sure lock it in, so he didn't have the problem. I think they could have done a little bit better at backup quarterback. Again, these are you're like nitpicking. I think the what they did in the draft with looking to the future and balancing the now. I think that was great. And so really, other than potentially, bringing in a veteran backup running back, and the ship hasn't sailed yet. But other than that, I think they've done a fine. It's a crazy dance for money that you're going to spend all the money, but how are you going to spend the money? How are you going to budget it? It's been good. So this, I couldn't, if there's off-season grades, I would say he's in a solid A, with a few nitpicking things.
Yeah, and I can't believe that this is possible. Again, Jets mandatory minicamp ended a month and change ago. And I said, boy, if Justin Simmons, the superstar free agent, still available around training camp, that could be interesting in terms of price. And as of right now, unless there's breaking news on my phone that I did not see, quick peek, it does not appear to be. Justin Simmons is a free agent, and no one has more interceptions than him since entering the league back in 2016. A superstar safety is still available. Are you tempted for Joe? It's a Joe Douglas thing. If he's got a trademark and you look at his history and a trend of patterns, if he was a serial killer, like, oh, wow, I keep seeing this thing come up. The thing that keeps coming up for old Joe Douglas is adding veterans very late in the process. Morgan Moses was added in the June, July range. Ryan Khalil. Sometimes some of these names I'm about to say have worked out great, and some of them not so much. Morgan Moses, great. Ryan Khalil off his couch, not so much. Dalvin Cook, that one was not great. But there's been all kinds of examples throughout history of him adding veterans, proven veterans late in the process to a variety of positions that ended up having really, really big impacts. Connor McGovern is another one where he's added late in the process where they were able to bring these players in and they had an impact. Like I said, it hasn't always worked. Would you have any interest in pressing the big red button in the middle of the room and finding it out for a Justin Simmons type?
Maybe it would have to, right? How does it all fit together? How's the rest of the team? What's the monetary implications? I do agree with Brandon L. there that the weird drafting the same running back from a different team.
Oh, okay. Different comment then from Brandon.
When he taking the trade back, getting the extra pick.
Oh, taking the trade back. So it was that comment.
And then drafting the back-to-back running backs, right? Essentially the same running back, right? One's a jackrabbit, right? One's a Badger, I think.
That's right. Yeah.
And so, right, they had what they needed with the Badger. They could have, did they need that other pick? Would they think it was a throwaway pick? I don't know. But that was questionable. But again, maybe they saw something, right? That is an area of, Breece Hall. If you want, you don't really have with the balance with these 2-pounders and him. I think you're going to get there. Do you bring in a backup running back? I don't know. But yeah, as far as the safety, if it fit, if it wasn't, doing too much to bring him in, and you're confident where you were with the stars of the future that we have, what we're going to do in the future that wasn't going to impact him, I agree. And then you got to figure out what you're going to do with Reddick, unless you're truly going to let it roll, figure out eventually he's going to cave, and then after a year let him walk.
Yeah, that's a biggie. And almost, this is a terrible way to GM, and that's why I'm just some random boob who does shows on a daily basis. But another thing I would like to do by bringing in Justin Simmons is, okay, sure, he's really talented and an all-pro safety and all that jazz. But by signing him, you prevent anyone else from adding him, and I think he is a needle mover, someone that would make a difference for insert team. Is it Buffalo, who put a grenade in their safety room and exploded it, or the Chiefs, or any one of these really, really good teams that in theory you're competing against getting that much better? So I would almost use it as a defensive technique.
Yeah, I don't think it was a grenade in their safety room. I think it was their safety room was next to the wide receiver room, which they detonated a nuclear weapon. And then there was just some fallout. Yeah, right.
Yeah, that could be. That makes sense.
Right, they're renovating the building. The ball came directly through the wide receiver room.
Like, well, it is what it is, I guess. The damage is done, and then right. They just kind of deal with it there. So that will be interesting. But to your Reddick point, that's so there was 2 storylines. One was very minor. It was the Malachi Corley thing. Bing, boom, bam, signed him. He's gone. So like you have that all figured out. He's now signed. You don't have even a question has to be at camp for next week of like, oh, why is Malachi Corley not signed? That one's done. So that one's over. The only one that remains outside of, again, Aaron Rodgers is of course going to be interrogated about the Egypt thing and all this other stuff. So yeah, sure, that's a storyline, I guess. But the one pressing one that like is ringing bells is what happens with Hassan Reddick. He has skipped. He was there for the introductory press conference, kissing baby, signing autographs. Hi, I'm Hassan Reddick. Can't wait to be here with the Jets. And then he was MIA for the rest of it. OTAs, mandatory minicamp, all of it, he was gone. Does he show up? Does he do the hold in, which is the new thing where the player shows up and so he can't be fined? It says, ooh, my back, which you have nothing to prove whether or not he actually has a back, but he's just making it up so he doesn't have to practice on the field. And it's a weird technique to try to get the team to eventually cave and say, hey, oh, you pay me. Oh, suddenly my back feels better. Like, that's the thing we have to see, because it seems like Hassan Reddick, again, ultimately changed his mind. That seems like the conversation when I called into the Rich Eisen show earlier this week and asked Tom Pelissero. It sure seems like Hassan Reddick agreed to do one thing, and then his agent's like, ooh, we got leverage. We're doing something else now. And it is what it is, and a lot of Jet fans seem angry about that. But either way, the end of the day, the Jets need Hassan Reddick. I don't care what any other Jet fan says. Hassan Reddick is one of the best players on the team. He's one of the best players in the league. You need him to have the success you want. I don't know if I could just rely on Jermaine Johnson and Will McDonald to be the straws that stir the drink, and Hassan Reddick is a side piece. Hassan Reddick is a main piece. That's why the New York Jets traded for him, and all the ripple effects of letting Bryce Huff go and trading away JFM happened. So I'll be curious to see what happens, because, again, we will have an idea, because Tuesday is report day for the veterans, and then Wednesday is the first practice. Is Hassan Reddick there? Question number one. And number two, does he practice? Does he just say, all right, I'm just going to play out this year? Do they have to do something with the contract? That is storyline number one. There's no question about it.
Yeah, and I think it's a game of chicken, right? Because
Sure.
in the end, Hassan Reddick cannot afford to miss, it's
$50,000 a day.
Yeah, not that. Yeah. That's not what I mean. I mean that this is his opportunity. This is, if he doesn't get a long-term contract with the Jets, this is his audition for the final money-making, bag-getting contract of his career. So is he going to put that on the line? Or, is he going to, miss a few days, make a show of it? Will the Jets blink first, right? Because in the end, who knows what the Jets are capable of doing? Who knows, what it looks like in the practice room when he's not there and how they would do without him? Because whoever you line up in that position has Quentin Williams right beside him. So that makes him better by just showing up. And so who has the more cojones, if you will?
Yeah.
But by the way, I did think of a game that you should play at some point.
Okay.
You should come up with, take a pool, take all the wide receivers for the New England Patriots and the Buffalo Bills, and you mix them up, and then you put it up on the screen. Who does this guy play for? New England Patriots, Buffalo Bills, and then one of those scrub teams from the UFL.
Right? Wow.
Which of these three is a wide receiver for which team? And I wonder how people would do. But anyways, you can't do that with the Miami Dolphins, obviously, but you can do that with half the teams in the division.
You could. We'll get to the phone call in just a second. I saw this question, and I'm just kind of curious because Jim Page asked on our YouTube page, do you guys like the new kickoff rule? And I'll say this. I had Sean Syed on the show earlier this week of Sumer Sports. He's the director of communications. He did this wonderful article. I can't recommend it enough. You guys can Google it and look it up. He studied the 407 XFL kickoffs this past season. Again, I want to make sure it's clear that the XFL rules aren't exactly the NFL rules, but it's close enough where you can get some takeaways from it. And I had him on my radio show this week, and he explained a lot of the interesting facets of it, but everyone is a mystery. From his, assessment of the data, there was, I think, only one kickoff return touchdown in those 407 attempts. So he doesn't think there's going to be a lot of touchdowns. And then I heard Scott Hansen, who's, of course, of Red Zone. He joined the Rich Eisen show this week and said he thinks we're going to have double-digit kick return touchdowns this season. And the average has been about 3 or 4. And then, obviously, the numbers have been even smaller than that. recently, but he thinks it's going to have a dramatic change. And I lean a lot more towards Scott Hansen than when I heard from Sean Syed, but it is interesting with the rules. Have you really gotten a great sense of them yet so far, Pop, or you're just waiting kind of to see it in the preseason to truly understand? Because it's a little complicated with all the different rules and things of that nature.
Yeah. So to answer the question, I don't like it. I don't like the new kickoff rules. And what problem are you trying to solve?
It's right now. It's currently a play where you go get a beer and go take a piss, and
right.
So the NFL hates
you typically make a change because you're trying to solve a problem.
That's a problem to them. Yes,
right.
It's a ceremonial play right now,
and I don't really see it that way. But the problem is with this new way, and I've caught some nuances. I really won't see it until I see it, and you're really not going to see it until September, because whatever is going to happen.
We won't see strategy. So we have to see the preseason because it's the rule. So you will visually see it. But to your point, we won't see the like coaches aren't going to show their hand in the preseason. They might try stuff experimentally, but we will see just the visual of it, which will be very bizarre. It's going to, again, folks, for those who and there are going to be people out there in the universe that have paid no attention. They turn it off in the offseason, and then they turn on the Hall of Fame game in like 2 weeks. They're like, what the hell? What is this? What's going on? Do I have the wrong sport on? Is this some weird rugby thing happening here? Again, it's going to be a dramatic visual difference, and it's going to take a while for us to adjust, both the referees and the teams, to kind of figure things out.
Yeah, the real problem for me is it's going to change the rosters in the NFL. That's the part that people don't recognize. It's not going to be change that play, but the rosters. You keep people, a handful, 3, 4, 5 people on that maybe that number's too high, but there are players that you keep that are a percentage of your team that you keep just for special teams. And now those people are going to have to be different, or other starters or backups are going to have to pick up different roles because the skill set is completely different. And so that is why I don't like it. Right. Now you're going to impact people's careers. Yeah. A guy that was on the team as that guy, he was always going to make the team, but the only reason he was going to make it is special teams. And by the way, your skill set now, right, you're going to be gone. Right. So I don't know. I'm not a big fan of it, but we'll see. Maybe my mind will change.
As a super fan of Devin Hester and the return play, I hate that the leader in kick returns last season apparently was the Green Bay Packers with 33. 33 returns is what we had last year, and coaches are expecting that number to double or triple in terms of the opportunity. So that part of it I love. The thing that I hate about it, one of the rules is there's no surprise onside kick anymore. You must announce it, and it can only happen in the fourth quarter, and only a trailing team can choose to use it. So there's a lot of rules. No surprise onside kick. You have to announce it to the world when you do it, and it can only happen in the fourth quarter when you're
that's garbage. And what are you doing? Right? Think about the Super Bowl.
Right. That's away.
With the
no
Saints.
More anymore. Yep.
Think about the Super Bowl with the Saints. Come out at halftime. What the hell? I mean, that's it. That's why you watch the NFL, because you never know what's going to happen. Like when the Philadelphia Eagles kicked it off one time to Dallas Cowboys, and 5 seconds later, Cowboys were celebrating a touchdown. But I can't remember that guy's name, but one of the fastest guys in the NFL didn't play for very long. But anyways, go if you want to do something, go back to the old kickoff rules. Yeah, I agree. Kicking it off sucks when they don't run it back. So go back to the old, but we'll see. And maybe it'll be great. Maybe we'll all love it.
Yeah, like I said, we'll get back into that at a different point, but appreciate you. Let's go to the phone lines. This guy has been MIA, and for understandable reasons. He's got a budding family, for Pete's sake, and we'll be seeing this guy in less than 2 months. I still can't believe that those words out of my mouth are true. It's 2 months from yesterday. Jets-Patriots home opener. Let's go to Johnny Boy and family in the car. What's up, Johnny?
Hey, now.
What's up, man? How you guys holding up?
Excellent. Thanks, man.
Doing good. Look at that hat.
Yeah, I know. It's like a galaxy universe. It's
a Knicks hat.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that, Pop.
I wore it just for you guys.
No, that's very nice.
But, hey, I wanted to ask a quick question. First and foremost, man, I know I've been MIA, sleeping like whenever the baby sleeps. And,
sure.
You know, I don't even know what day it is, what universe we're in anymore. But I wanted to ask this question. With the training camp looming right now,
Yep.
what are the camp battles that you guys are looking forward to seeing? Who are the ones that you're like, I need to see this guy progress to beat this guy out, et cetera, et cetera? I just wanted to watch that out real quick.
Oh yeah, I appreciate it. And wow, that's a good question. Thanks, Johnny. I appreciate that. Thanks, man. Yeah, I want to make sure that Johnny had to ask a question and leave. I just want to make sure. But interesting. So training camp battles. Well, I'll say as we're talking about starting gigs, and I love again. I know a lot of Jet fans hated the Hard Knocks last year. I love Hard Knocks, so I've enjoyed this Giants offseason series. It's been super insightful. I can't wait to watch the Bears one. I haven't really gotten into the in-season one yet. Maybe it's just because it's too busy with everything we have going on in our lives. So that one I haven't really been able to kind of get into, but I have gotten into the normal one, and then this new offseason one has been really cool. But I like the fighting for the final rush, but I love preseason. I know a lot of people don't. I love seeing these stories of guys you're fighting and rooting for and the kind of the construction of the roster. I really enjoy that part of it. But I'd say safety off the top. I believe Tony Adams is probably locked into a spot. But then who's the other guys? Is it Chuck Clark? Is it Jalen Key, Mr. Irrelevant? Is it Ashton Davis, who ended up deciding to come back? Is it someone else like Isaiah Oliver, switch positions from corner to safety? Is he the one? That's one for me. That's off the top. I guess we could go back and forth here, so I don't just blow through all these. But yeah, Pop, what is a positional battle? Training camp again is right around the corner. We're 3 days away from the rest of the team reporting, and 4 days away from the first practice. That is on Wednesday, coming up this week.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm looking for a positional battle, but okay. I really want to see this running back room.
Oh, okay.
Right. So I'm good. Right. I think there's going to be a surprise, not a surprise. Right. I think, what do you guys, is it Izzy? Is that what they call him?
Yeah.
Right?
Izzy to the Hizzy.
Hopefully he didn't sign a long-term lease for anything in New York. But no, I want to see, the Braylon Allen and the Jackrabbit. I want to see, I want him to run. And the problem is with the training camp now, and I know you don't want people to get hurt. I want to see these pounders, what they look like in a preseason game, right? And which of those two, because we may be surprised. Everyone thinks it's a foregone conclusion that the Badger is gonna have the advantage over the Jackrabbit. I want to see what that looks like and see if they're going to be able to step up to the plate, because I think Breece Hall is most effective if he's about a 60%, 50 to 60% on the field guy with these other guys rotating in. And right, it doesn't have to be a solid backup and then a third. It could be a 2A and a 2B, especially and with the type of running back that they are, you're going to wear down the defense, right? Man, that guy just ran over me. Wait a minute, who's this other? Oh shit! So I'm excited for that. So the running backs to really see how that shakes out, where the running back room ends up, 6 or 8 weeks from now, and then I'm really super interested, and I've probably talked about him a lot in the Yak champion, how he does against, and you couldn't have a better opportunity, right? The running backs we're not really going to know until you're in the trenches and the blood and the sweat's flying. But Malachi going against our defensive backs, there's all this yip yap of you won't necessarily see the Yak in training camp, but you'll see his ability, route running, how he's going to do against some of the better, him against, the Sauce and how does that all work out? So those are the two that kind of jump out at me for probably different than most, but those two things really intrigue me.
Yeah, Corley didn't really stand out in the spring, but part of that is his game is breaking tackles and doing all kinds of crazy stuff with contact, which you don't get in OTA. Well, you don't even get that normally in training camp. You get some level of popping, but with all the new rules and regulations, and how they have to warm up, there's like a grace period at the beginning of training camp, and you have to do from shells to eventually getting in full pads and going through that process of the preseason games and the reps and how all that's split up. 100%. Yeah. I miss the 2-a-days and all the extra, the heat, the action, that kind of stuff I miss a little bit. So I think, that's a random soapbox of NFLPA fighting for the wrong things. If they're hurting themselves with the lack of reps and continuity, you can really look at key positions like offensive line and others that are hurting from the limited reps they're not allowed to have because of all the rules and pads and all that kind of stuff. But I'm looking forward to Corley because he's going to get the pads on. We'll get to see a little bit of a taste of him and how quickly has he developed. Robert Saleh in May said he was a quote unquote raw route runner. Xavier Gibson has looked really great throughout the spring. Is he the starting slot? And then Corley has to work his way in as a gadget guy. I don't know. That the wide receiver room will be interesting.
Yeah, I would tell you that Robert Saleh's understanding of route running, he learned from Tyreek Hill's school of tape watching, which is watching Madden. So I'm not sure how much money in the bank to put on that.
That's a fair point. And also, again, Woody's favorite player, Alan Lazard. What happens there? A lot of Jet fans are just done with them after what happened last year with both poor production, piss poor attitude, and seemingly quitting on the team at the end of the season. Like all of those reasons, a lot of Jet fans are just done with him automatically. But obviously, the Jets haven't moved on for contractual reasons. Does he step up to the plate with his buddy Aaron Rodgers there? And again, I'm never going to expect him to be some kind of an all-star. I don't think that's ever going to happen. But if he steps up to the plate and he is what the Jets thought he could be in some realm as a wide receiver 3, 4, insert whatever it's going to be, okay, if he know your job, know your role, maybe he could be something. Again, my expectations are incredibly low, but I would say if he is a cancerous thing and he's being a dick like he was at the end of last year and deflecting blame and all those kinds of things, boy, the Jets are going to think long and hard about saying, why are we even keeping this guy on the team? You know what? Let's bite the bullet. Let's eat the money. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of dead cap. But the vibes are terrible with this guy, and I'd much rather keep, I'm saying in a hypothetical scenario, the Jets go, let's keep Jason Brownlee. I don't know, some young guy who's put it all out on the line, who actually plays special teams. Alan Lazard played 0% of the special team snaps. So as a wide receiver 4 or 5 that doesn't play special teams, he's going to be inactive on game days. What does he bring to the table? So maybe they just bite the bullet, or, again, he steps up to the plate. All right, let's if you have a quick comment, go ahead, Pop.
Yeah, just on that, right?
Yeah.
So I think Lazard is one of the key things to happen to the Jets. And I don't know, we see how he acts, and just as a person that's manages people, right? If someone hasn't brought him in, because it's uncomfortable to manage people, if someone hasn't brought him in, you go, hey man, what the are you doing? Right?
Yeah.
Right. Realize the only reason you're still here because your contract puts us in a bad spot. But at some point, it's not going to be worth it. And we're going to cut bait. And so hopefully
it seems like Saleh has done that. And plus Saleh said the quiet part out loud after that Black Friday game, which we were together for, unfortunately, for all the poor, unfortunate souls that were subject to watch that game, where Saleh called him out publicly and said, he's here for at least the next year and a half. I mean, for a while. And then you're like, did he just say where the out is in Alan Lazard's contract? He signed a 4-year deal. That was, again, most coaches don't say that part publicly, but hey, so it seems like they had a chat. We'll see if obviously it means anything. Okay, we have a couple of callers coming in on the show, and this guy's popping the cherry, baby, for the very first time. Let's bring on Terrence to the show. What's up, Terrence?
What's up, Boy Green? Boy Green's dad. I'm sorry, Paul Eston Sr. Sorry.
Not at all.
It's morning time. Hey, Boy Green, you're doing a great job. I love the morning show. Gets me up in the morning, gets me excited. But I'm also way more excited for you and Jake starting next Friday. Can't wait for that.
That's right. It'll be on both channels. So for people who missed it, it'll be me and Jake Asman every Friday at 3 o'clock. I can't wait. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah. So I when you guys was on the other day, I tried to call in, but you guys wasn't giving in the phone calls. I wanted to ask both of you guys this question, so I'll ask you guys now. As being a Jets fan, and I've been a Jets fan since the mid-'80s, I've had season tickets from like Parcells' first year to like Sanchez's second or third, somewhere in there.
Wow, that's a big chunk of time.
Yeah,
okay.
I have a lot of insight and experience with the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
So My thing is, with us missing the playoffs for so long, drafting high and getting all these great draft picks, right? Then by the time they develop, we can't afford them. They got to go to another team and win Super Bowls, right? So I was thinking that the Players Association needs to go back to the table and say, hey, the franchise that drafts a player, they should be able to pay that player whatever they want to keep the player and put a cap on free agency. So let's say you don't want to keep the player and they become a free agent and they want $30 million. Well, a team has to make salary cap under the free agency cap to bring the guys in. But guys like Vilma, that they come into our team and then after 3 years they get good, but now we can't afford them. They go to another team and they win. I think they should make it where if a franchise drafts a player, and as long as they don't become a free agent, they can pay that player as much as they want to keep them and put a cap on how many free agents you can bring in on a franchise. What do you think?
Yeah, Terrence, I'm sorry. I was going to jump in.
Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, so I've said the same thing. There needs to be something similar to what the NBA has or Major League Baseball, that you can go above the cap for some homegrown talent, or you have like the one play, you can have a couple players you can pay some money to keep your people. The fans want it, the players want it, and they need to get something done there. I'm with you.
Yeah, I think it is the NBA thing, 100% on both realms. First off, that you can pay, that you could go over the cap for your own guys, and number two, that if an NBA player is on like the Knicks, we'll use the Knicks. We have a lot of Knicks fans that are in the chat. That you are allowed to pay Jalen Brunson more than any other team. So like you could pay him 5 years for 200. I'm making these numbers up, but 5 years, 200 million. If he went to any other team in free agency, they can only pay him 4 years, 180. And then Jalen Brunson's got to go, boy, if I stay here, I get more money. And then that also incentivizes both sides. So I think, yeah, it's all NBA style. I think that's what they should do because, to be honest, while the advent of free agency destroyed my father's Dallas Cowboys in the mid-'90s, I don't think while the free agency is exciting and the NFL gets a lot out of it, I think you'd want to promote development and sustaining talent instead of just being the Jets are the caregiver for talent. Hey, we discovered this, we developed it, now let's go give it to a great team. What the? Well, that's not how this puppy should work.
I think that's why we are where we're at. We're drafting high, and by the time these guys get good, they're gone.
Yeah,
and then they're winning elsewhere. And then I see, like, I've been watching you guys for about 2 seasons now. I'm just now getting in.
Yeah.
Comfortable. But I bought a Chad Pennington jersey. That's my dude. I'm not buying another jersey and in 2 years they're gone. I got to buy another one in 2 years, they're gone. It's like, so me and my Chad Pennington jersey, we've been through the ups and downs. I'm not getting rid of that guy. And when I see you guys in Miami, I might have it on. That's like my like a superhero has their super suit.
Mm-hmm.
That my Chad Pennington jersey is my super suit, man.
I love that. I love that, Terrence. Thanks for calling in, man, and we'll have to have you on again soon, man.
Oh, yes, no doubt. Appreciate you guys.
All right, there he is.
Nobody can say Chad Pennington without me hearing Madden's voice.
Yeah, there we go. Well, it doesn't have the strongest arm in the world, and I'm like, what the hell? I'd be playing Madden
every time.
And I just complete like a nice slant or something. I'm like, yeah, and like nice little slant. Chad Pennington, Madden's like, well. Yeah, it's almost like he was like a Make-A-Wish kid throwing a football for the first time.
He can't really stretch the field with that arm strength.
Look at that little tyke out there trying his best. And I'm like, what the hell? Yeah, it was offensive.
If I could quickly quote The Rock.
Sure. Yeah, why not?
If only you could smell what your mom is cooking.
I see. And that's the bacon that's certainly coming. So we'll wrap it up with this last caller. It's our boy Hep joining us here on the show.
How you doing, Mr. Edson?
Good.
Hey,
good,
Paul. Good. I just wanted to. I was thinking. I said, why are they changing this rule change again with the kickoff? Just push it back another 10 yards, or whatever it is, making it almost impossible to kick it out of the end zone. Keep the onside kick rule the same. Do all that same. Why are they messing with it? And then I thought, oh, that's right, because the NFL is now a bunch of pussies. And they're afraid to off front of each other, right? And it got me thinking back to the 1970s when I watched football, when these guys, I don't know about you, Mr. Edson, I think you're closer to my age, and you remember the 1970s, I believe. Maybe not, or the early 80s. And football seemed a little tougher back then. I mean, you really kind of like you had the alligator arms. There was a lot of stuff going on. The defensive backs were laying the wood on people, and it was really a dangerous game. I mean, the athletes today are more athletic. They're more gorillas, you know. But back then, they were just like gangsters, man. They were just, you know, it was dirty too, man. It was a crazy game. What's your opinion, Miss Edson?
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. Right. You go back to the new training camp rules that, you know, every person's got someone that's fanning them, or, you know, you can't do 2-a-days. And like, what are you talking about? Right. Let's play. So, and then, you know, the bubble that we put the quarterback in. So, yeah, it has detracted some. But I mean, all you have to see is, you know, Darren Woodson, not to use too many, or Roy Williams, those two safeties that used to roam the backfield for the Cowboys. They would blow people the beep up, right? And you can't even do that now.
No, you can't do that at all. And the quarterback, it's like tippy tappy. You just touch him. I remember Namath getting hit out of his socks. You know what I mean? And get up, shake it off, even with those reconstructed knees. I mean, it was a different game. It was really like an Iron Man kind of a game. It seemed a lot tougher to me anyway. I don't know. Maybe it's my prejudice, you know, but I don't know. Anyway, go eat your bacon. Love you guys. See you later.
All right. Great to see you.
All right, there you go, Hep. I love it. Oh, why did they change the rules? Oh, yeah, they're pussies. I love that. Way to go. We're going to put that one on a T-shirt, Hep. That is funny. All right, well, a perfect way to end this program. Again, shout out to Snowball for making all those emojis. Thank you, everybody, to the 350 people that are in the room live right now. Make sure you guys like the video, hit subscribe, or if you're watching after the fact, show your support. It's been spectacular, and we'll have another Boy Green Daily tomorrow morning and Hop on Pop every weekend, and we'll keep that train moving forward there, Pop.
Yep, there may be a guest appearance tomorrow. Who knows?
Guest appearance tomorrow. All right. Well, we'll see who that possibly is. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see you next time tomorrow morning at 7:30, bright and early. Take care.